Now, the dreidel does not look special at all. Okay? It looks like an ordinary toy. But this little top has a lot to say to us. We can learn many spiritual principles. Most dreidels are made from wood. From wood, not clay. Most are basically a square block with Hebrew letters and a pointed bottom. See that? Pointed bottom? Okay. The four letters found on the dreidel are Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin. Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin. Four letters. The dreidel was first used many years ago when the Hebrew people faced harsh persecution from King Antiochus. The evil ruler forbid the study of Torah. Believers would meet secretly to discuss the Torah portions in defiance of the ban. Now don't miss this, okay? So the study of Torah was what? Illegal. Can I hear a good amen? So the believers in Yahweh would meet secretly to discuss the Torah portions to defy the ban. Syrian officers would often raid the meeting or watch the gathering. The Jewish people would study hidden Torah scrolls when the enemy wasn't looking. When the enemy did watch or raid the gatherings, the Hebrews would simply pull out their dreidel and take their dreidel for a spin. You with me here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yes, we are.
Oh, man. They were not gambling. They were not gambling. Instead, they would fake as if they were playing. The dreidel didn't start out as a children's game. Instead, the spinning top was used to aid our people in the study of Torah. Speak to us, dreidel. Speak to us. Nice, huh? How so? Adults, not children, adults would spin the dreidel and then view the letter that fell on top. They would use that letter to determine the subject of the Torah discussion. You like this, huh?
Yeah.
If the sivivon, the dreidel, this is a sivivon, which is a Hebrew word for what? Spin, right? The spinner, the spinning one, or the spinning item. Sivivon, sof, sof, sof. Chanukah, hu chag tov. Chanukah, hu chag tov. Sivivon, sof, sof, sof. Chanukah ula, nes gadol haya sham, nes gadol haya sham, chag simcha ula. Okay, so initially it was not a children's game. It was an adult way used to undermine the Greek-Assyrian prohibition. If the sivivon, also known as the dreidel, if the sivivon landed on Nun, my Hebrew students from or Rivka's Hebrew students from B'nai Yeshua Torah Academy. Am I holding the Nun? Naomi, yeah? That's the Nun. I know it's small. I'll help you out here. Right? Nun? Right? If it landed on the Nun, they would enter a midrash or a Torah discussion on a topic beginning with Nun. Like Ner Tamid, the eternal flame. Or like miracles, nes, if it fell on the nude. If the top, for example, fell on shin, what is shin, students? Right? Shin? If the dreidel fell on shin, perhaps they would break into a Torah midrash on Shekhinah. What is Shekhinah? Yahweh's glory. Or on Shalom. What is Shalom? Peace. Or even the prophesied Mashiach, who would come as the one known as Shiloh. The scepter will not depart from Judah, or a lawgiver between his feet, Genesis 49:10, until Shiloh be come. Now I'm preaching like I normally do, but I'm going to calm down now. So Shiloh is another title for Mashiach. Shin. The people at that time under the Syrian Greek prohibition, did not have modern entertainment to consume their time. Instead, they engrossed their lives in their faith. They knew the Torah and the Tanakh, the First Covenant, so well that by simply viewing one letter, they could recall entire chapters of Scripture and recite them and give glory to Yahweh. I love it. Notice, by one letter, Daryl, y'all sleeping on me, are you?
No.
By one letter, they can recite an entire chapter or several verses, and they can make Yahweh the center of their focus and not direct TV.
Wow.
Direct to TV. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. May we return to such a love and knowledge of Yahweh's word. May the simple toy become a symbol of our devotion to raise our awareness of Yahweh's Torah. We are told that during the time of the persecution by the Syrian Greek armies, today modern Turkey, which where Antiochus came from, modern Turkey, the seat of the end-time beast, where the anti-Messiah will come from, Turkey. By the Greek armies, that the Dreidel led to the development of what is called the Haftorah Parsha, or portion of Scripture. Now listen carefully. Before the time of Chanukah, there was no Haftorah Parsha. Before the time of Yeshua, the people of Israel set up a yearly reading schedule to include the first 5 books of the Torah, of the Bible, the Torah. But when the Greek army forbade, we just read that today in 1 Maccabees, when the Greek army forbade the possession and study of Torah scrolls, the rabbis used the letters on the dreidel to remind them of the Torah portion that they would have discussed on the specific week. The spiritual leaders found sections from the scrolls of the prophets that corresponded to the specific Torah portion. The section of reading from the prophetic writings, or the Haftorah, is still read on Shabbat in synagogues today, every Shabbat. As believers in Yeshua, we add a messianic parsha from the renewed covenant to our reading. In other words, the study of Torah was what? Outlawed. The study of Torah was what? Forbidden. So the Jewish people, in order to remind themselves of Yahweh's word, used these 4 letters to study the Torah by memory and the prophets and the writings, the Tanakh, because the prophets and the writings were not outlawed. And so they used this letter to begin to divide the prophets and the writings. What is Tanakh? Torah, it's an acronym for Torah, Nevi'im, Ketuvim. The 5 books, the prophets, and the writings. It's an acronym, Tanakh. So since Torah was outlawed, what was left to the Jewish people? Nevi'im and what? Ketuvim. And Ketuvim. And so they divided the Nevi'im and the Ketuvim, and we see that today in our Bible, the Haftorah Parshas that didn't exist before Hanukkah. So our forefathers used the dreidel by letter to divide the prophets and the writings into the Torah Parshas. Pretty interesting, huh? So initially, Bruno, this was not a toy for children. It was a means by which the adults undermined the Greco-Syrian authority in their lives. You follow me? Mm-hmm. Who would have thought this little dreidel would lead us to our reading and discussion of Yahweh's word in those days and even to this time? There were no Haftorah portions before our forefathers hid from the Greek Syrians because they couldn't study Torah. This shows the spiritual power of this little toy. Amen. This is a symbol of freedom. O dreidel, speak to us. What's today's message? O dreidel, speak to us. What's today's message? O dreidel, speak to us. This is a symbol of freedom. Just think about how throughout history, children of all cultures have been fascinated by spinning tops. It just so happens that the Jewish top is square and has Hebrew letters. Let's allow the fascination to develop further as we look into the Sivivon today. I love how I used to play with this. It's about the only time of the year my father would speak to me. He got real friendly right around the time of Hanukkah. He got real friendly. The rest of the year is like, Ooh.